Welcome to the Fed Mission Success video podcast series. We recently announced that Kaamil Khan has been promoted to the president of Makpar. And today we have a very special episode. We're actually joined by Seema Khan, who's the CEO of Makpar, and Kaamil, who will both be discussing this leadership change, as well as the future vision and approach for the company. And Seema and Kaamil, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for organizing this.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, it's great to have you both. And this is really a big announcement here at Makpar. And before we really talk about that, Seema, if you don't mind, can you share a bit about Makpar's history and the company's heritage?
Sure. We always talk about it at every meeting, it seems. Anyway, Mushtaq, my husband, had started Makpar as a billing vehicle. Basically, he was working as a consultant, and we needed a company to do the billing and all. So I was helping. He was, of course, the technical lead, and I was in the background managing, the taxes, the payments, the accounting, and all of that. And I was getting tired of seeing Mushtaq working 24 hours, 7 days a week, and, just no breaks at all in between. So in 2015, we decided that I was going to leave my job. I was working full time at a local hospital company over here. And I left my job in March 2015 and joined Makpar officially as an employee. And of course, at that time, it was just my husband and I. We were doing he was doing the work and I was doing the background support for him. But we got our 8A designation in January of 2017.
Mhm.
I remember that. But anyway, in 2015, we did manage to get a couple of contracts as a subcontractor. We hired employee number 3 and 4 in September. And that's how we really started Makpar. I don't have we had a big plan or a big strategy when we started. It was basically Mushtaq's reputation and integrity, which the clients really appreciated. And they are the ones who suggested to Mushtaq, why don't you have your own company so we can give you more work? And that is when I started working on our 8A application. There were many things that we had to set in place before we could get the 8A. So we finally got the 8A in January 2017, and that's when Makpar really took off, because we got our first 3 prime contracts in 2017. And since then, we have been growing, and it has been quite a ride. And we brought Kaamil in. I think it was later, and he was actually
17 and then full time in early
right.
2018.
He's a lawyer, so he was helping us with looking at our contracts, making sure that we had things set up properly. So he was already doing that on a part-time basis for us. But then in 2017, when Mushtaq said, "Hey, we need somebody to help us," it's gone beyond Mushtaq and me, because we really had 3 subcontracts and then the prime contracts. And we had, I think by that time, we had maybe 15, 16 employees. So we really did need help. And luckily for us, Kaamil was able to join, and he has made such a difference. Now he's on our succession plan. And, it is a tremendous feeling of relief to know that there will be somebody who will be taking over from us whenever we do decide to retire. And he's doing a great job. I'm very proud of him.
Yeah, that's great, Seema. Appreciate that rundown. And tell me about the timing of the transition. And you will continue, at least in the interim, to be the CEO of Makpar, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think Kaamil is going to get rid of us that easily. Even though Mushtaq and I both say that we are so ready to retire, we are so ready to have some time to ourselves, because right now we're all working constantly, weekends, night times, whatever, the work never ends, and being the owners and making sure that everything is getting done right. And now, today we have 170 employees, and we have hired professional managers now to handle the HR side, the financial side. Of course, program management is one of our biggest challenges because luckily we have Mushtaq who is able to handle the program management side of the thing. And Kaamil has been helping us with business development, which is again critical because we have now 170 families who rely on Makpar for their monthly, financial well-being. So Kaamil is very aware of that, and he takes his responsibilities very seriously to help make sure that Makpar is growing and that we have a plan in place for the future.
That's wonderful. Perfect segue to my next question there, Seema. So let's switch over to Kamal. So congratulations on the promotion. You are definitely representing the next generation of leadership at Makpar, which is really
That's right.
Right. So with that in mind, Kamal, tell us about your future vision.
Well, my mother's being modest about her accomplishments. I mean, again, my father was so focused on client delivery, he didn't understand all the back end stuff. So when my mother joined, just the systems she put in place, being able to go and get benefits so they could hire, all of that, the less glamorous stuff, the stuff that you don't necessarily see in the G2X and the orange slices, she was taking care of all of that. And she still has been now. So for me, I was so focused on first, especially in our industry, it's grow or die, unfortunately, right? You have to constantly putting bids out. You have to constantly trying to come up with your story, how you differentiate yourselves. While we've had some success there, I've been fortunate now that we found the right resources and built the right team to take that over. So now I can focus on supporting her and managing the company. For a long time, it was really by the seat of your pants management. And so, I brought in a business coach. I've kind of been studying different management frameworks and what we want to implement, being agile, being iterative, being responsive, and then making sure we created a culture of engagement. So now for me, it's about building the great work that my parents have started and continuing that, obviously, but now managing a company, how we manage a company from when it was just 25 people when I joined to versus now 170 people, how many managers we have, how we keep them engaged, how we make sure they're engaged with their teams. Those are the challenges now that I'm going to be responsible for dealing with. Because again, we're a services company. People are our asset, and I want to make sure we always are thinking of our people first. Then also all the other things that come about, how do we streamline our operations, right? We've been too dependent on Excels now, Excel spreadsheets with information here, information there. How do we improve information sharing across the company now? It's not just being done by one or two people, right? We need several teams. We need to improve our internal communications there. How we continue to be good teammates and good partners for some of our primes and other folks that we work with. And then just, how do we differentiate ourselves in a very crowded and competitive marketplace as well? Those are all some of the challenges that I'm going to be facing in this new role. And I'm looking forward to the challenge there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And speaking of that, I'm certainly very familiar with the messaging and the marketing messaging behind Makpar, working with you all for several years now, but would love to hear from your perspective, what makes Makpar different and unique? And maybe we'll have both of you answer that. Maybe we'll start with Seema and then Kamal can respond.
I think our biggest differentiating feature is the integrity. Mushtaq has managed the programs with total dedication to the customer. I mean, customer is king for us. We make sure that we understand what the customer wants us to do, and B, we deliver exactly what they have asked for. So I think our biggest advantage really is the integrity. Our clients know that if they ask us to do something, we are going to do the best possible job and within the framework, within budget and all of that. So I think people and that philosophy is what we want everyone at Makpar to be aware of. Service with integrity.
Yes. No, we're consultants. We serve at the pleasure of the customer. That's why customer delight is one of our core values. We understand customers can change priorities, they're also facing a lot of pressure, especially in this phase of constant budget cuts. That's why calm execution is also one of our core values. Again, the customer is looking at us to help them navigate a lot of uncertainty, a lot of major challenges, a lot of major initiatives as well. And then for me, the next challenge is I think we've got great reputations with our customer. We have great people, but what I really want the industry to know Makpar for is also our capabilities, especially in the areas that I think the government is struggling with most, which is data security and development. And that's really my next focus area of how we can brand Makpar to be known as a company with great people as well as great capabilities and the ability to deliver.
That's awesome. That actually plays into my next question as well. Let's talk a little bit more about, I guess, the future vision for Makpar when it comes to helping agencies, advance their IT modernization. IT modernization is like a big buzzword, and I think it's a huge priority for agencies. And you mentioned security and Kaamil, any other areas that are going to be a core focus, I guess, now into the immediate and long-term future?
Yeah, we are right now focused. We're in the civilian space. We're primarily focused on citizen facing services. I think that's a huge deal. Being, first of all, a citizen and a taxpayer, right? Being able to get the access to the information you need and access to the information you want in a timely manner and how you choose to do it. So we've been very fortunate that our work at the IRS has really helped the IRS expand that, expanding the ability to identify and authenticate yourself, expanding our security for any of the web-facing portals that we've been developing, and then also streamlining internal projects through automation as well. So that's all core capabilities now. Where I think agencies are still struggling is there's constantly the threat environment is changing, how we can support them with being more proactive with our threat modeling, using automated tools to improve vulnerability identification before those vulnerabilities are able to be exploited, and then also how to make their data more actionable. And in order to do that, first you have to identify your data sources, identify what your data is, and then making sure you clean up that data. So starting that data journey as well with customers. Because again, I think federal agencies have a lot of data. It's how well is that data being reported, how much access, how much transparency they have. There's a lot there. I think agencies are overwhelmed with the amount of data they're dealing with, and we want to support them with making that data, creating actionable insights from that data.
That's a great rundown. And, I've really enjoyed my time here connecting with you both. It's great to have, I guess, two senior leaders here from Makpar. I know we did the Mushtaq one, I think probably about a year ago for the anniversary for you all. And it's just been a pleasure connecting with you. And before we sign off, any last thoughts? And we'll go to Seema first.
It has been quite a journey, and I am very, very proud of the company that we have built together. Really, it is not just one person, it is all of us together. And I think you can tell why Kaamil will make a great president. And I am very comfortable with the idea that he's going to be running it. He has a very good team of people now helping him do that. And honestly, I'm very proud that we have built a company for the long term. And we have people who can take over from us. And so Mushtaq and I can go and travel and spend time with our grandkids. That's our biggest priority.
Love it. Love it. Kaamil, any parting shots here?
No parting shots per se. No, but I'm obviously very grateful for the opportunity, right? My parents, I couldn't do this except for the great work my parents have already laid the groundwork for, right? The great customer relationships, the great team that they've invested in and built. So that obviously helps quite a bit. And then we're very fortunate we have great relationships with a lot of teammates. And I would be remiss if I didn't call out our mentor-protege relationship with New Access specifically. Yeah, we've learned a lot working with them. And, I want to model myself after their CEO and leader, Reza Latif. And so, he's been a role model to me for a long time. I'm excited for the opportunity to continue to grow and model myself after him and the success with the team he's built over at New Access. All of their folks over there, Ali, Lindsay, Heather, Jessica, Gus.
They are really a great team, grateful. And they have a wonderful camaraderie in the company. And I think that is something that has helped them grow. And I hope we can build the same kind of camaraderie within Makpar.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we've been very fortunate to have that mentor-protege relationship with New Access. It's helped us mature a lot, and it's given us a standard game for as well.
That's awesome. Well, this concludes this Fed Mission Success video podcast interview with Kaamil Khan, who was recently promoted to president of Makpar. And we were also joined by Seema Khan, who's the CEO of Makpar. And both executives were kind enough to share their insights about really the history of Makpar, the meaning behind this leadership change, kind of passing the baton to the next generation, as well as the future vision for the company. And Seema and Kaamil, thank you so much for your time today.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much.